It's the Cooper and Anthony Show.
I'm not going to talk about your lawsuit because I'm sure everyone's asking you about that and it like yawn. But I do want to say this. I'm so proud of you because as somebody who has been in radio for a very long time, I've seen a lot of unsolicited penises. I mean, more than I want to tell you about. And I even at one point had gone to an attorney after a contract negotiated had fallen apart because I wouldn't give the PD a blowjob. And that is the God's honest truth. That happened. She said to me, and she was one of these Park Avenue attorneys, and she said to me, look, you have a case here. It's your word against his, but you have a case. And let's say you get what the contract was worth, a couple of $100,000. Then what? Then no one in the industry is going to work with you. You're going to be seen as somebody who is litigious, and that's going to be it. She said, I'd walk away if I were you. And that's what I did. I never said a word until, well, I've talked about it before on the show, but like people know that I've had that experience, but I never did anything about it. And I always think about it. I always think about like all the other girls who came after me, who had to deal with this predator, because women in radio it's still old school there. It's still a man's world. So when I saw your lawsuit, I was like, I'm so proud of him for speaking up for himself because it's something I don't have the balls to do.
Let me just say this and be very simple about it. I have always been a practitioner and a believer of fairness, period. I've always believed that no matter how rich you are, how famous you are, how successful you are, how poor you are, we all go the same way. We all will leave the earth. And what has always been most meaningful to me is to have purpose in my life and to have fairness in my life. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Those things, honestly, I think about life, and my family, we're big into travel and I learn a lot about other cultures. And so what I always want is for people to live the best life they can and to be as happy as they can. Life is tough. Life is just tough in general. Okay. Mm-hmm. And even people who you think have it all, they have tough moments in their life. And so I've always been a practitioner of fairness. I'm not perfect, and no one's perfect, but I try every single day to be a good person. And I think that what we have seen in the country recently has been people just not being good people. You and I can disagree, by the way, as much as you want. We can disagree. That's great. Disagreements are actually good when you get challenged and you build and mend your differences. But to be miserable and to be mean-spirited, that's different. That's a whole different ballgame, right?
Right.
You could say, I'm conservative when it comes to fiscal policy, and I could say I'm liberal. Okay, we disagree about fiscal policy, but when you take it to the level of meanness, where I am trying to hurt you or I am trying to call you out personally, that to me is where the country has to back away from, because it's not productive. We're just fighting each other. And the country suffers as a whole, right? It suffers as a whole. I want you guys, even if you're across the aisle from me, to want the country as a whole to rise. That's all I want. Like, if you say, hey, Ian, I believe the country's going to do better by this fiscal policy. I say I think it'll do better by this. But as long as our goal is that we think but if your real goal is that you just want you and your cronies to actually be able to benefit, no good. It's no good. We cannot stand divided. We just absolutely can't. And here's the last thing I want to say about this. I always think about our competitors in the world and them looking at us, and they just sit on the sideline saying, this is great. These guys are just attacking each other. They're knocking each other. Think about this. They're knocking each other down. Let's step back. Let them hurt themselves. And they're now exposing their own Achilles heels.
Right.
We got to be smarter.
Yeah.
We got to be smarter in this country. And, embrace difference. I know it sounds cliche, but difference, it makes us better. We don't want to be homogenous and all think the same way and look the same way. Who wants that?